the most haunted jail in Georgia. And the reason we say that is because, the amount of investigations that's occurred there over the years, and had a lot of paranormal teams that come in there, and, all the hours and stuff that's involved with the investigations. They have weekend-long investigations. And every team's left with something. Yeah. And in fact, your next guest up, I think Miranda Young, she's been there a few times, and she's, we're looking to have her come back. Hopefully, do one of her episodes for her new show, Ghostwriter.
Yeah, that would be great.
Now, Jeffrey, I have to correct you on something. It's not the most haunted jail in Georgia. It's probably the most haunted place in Georgia. I tell you, that place is fascinating. When you look at the history of the place, and when you see what the activity is actually happening there, it makes you wonder, what really happened there, other than what's been documented. I know y'all had Gateway Paranormal to come through, and they said that was one of the craziest places they ever that they ever investigated that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had paranormal teams run from the building, leaving their equipment upstairs, and they have not come back to investigate since. And I've invited them to come back, and they asked the team leader's like, you know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna I got a new team. I'm not gonna have them come in there and get hurt. I understand.
Yeah.
We don't want people to get hurt, and if they're comfortable with the place, then we're gonna sit there and push it.
Yeah.
Right.
Leon was there during that. Can you remember that March 30th, Leon?
Man, that was a crazy time. That was a crazy time.
God, that was one of the scariest nights I've ever seen there.
Look, if I was to sit there and say that I wasn't scared a little bit, I'll be lying. See what happened was it was just a normal night. He had people there investigating, just like he normally does. And something just didn't feel right about that night. And, Jeffrey don't own the place. He only runs the ghost tours, so he's not the owner, so he can't give me permission to actually extract like what is there. So I can only try to play damage control. I can only try to prevent what could possibly happen. So when you go up to the men's ward, to the men's section, it just did not feel right. When I walked in there, I felt the utter feeling of doom. If I take one more step, this thing is going to rip the flesh off my body. That's how I felt. But I stepped in, and my goal was to only bind it to a certain section of the cell so it won't get out and hurt people. That was my only goal. And I came face to face with it. And this is I've been doing this for many, many years. This is one of the only times that I have been so scared to where my first instinct was to just go back downstairs. Yeah. But to me, that's a challenge. And I don't give in the challenges. And I did what I needed to do. And all of a sudden, the whole jail cell shook. And that jail cell is a couple tons. Okay, that jail cell was bolted to concrete.
It went boom. We all felt it under our feet.
It sure did. It went boom, and it was just shaking. Something with significant force that is supernatural is the only logical explanation. And then it pushed me back a couple feet. So
it did.
Yes, and didn't that get caught on camera?
Yeah, it did. It got it caught on one of our little GoPros.
Yeah.
It's in one of these files here, but
So what happened was it didn't scare me away. I did what I wanted to do for it, and then I stepped out. And And every time somebody would go over to that section, I would walk with them, just kind of stand off into the distance, just to kind of keep a bird's eye view. But that night was scary.
Yeah, we've had some interesting times there. I mean, it's it's a place for like everybody. If you're a beginner, this is where you want to come, because this is where you're gonna get some Class A EVPs, and it's just, if you've never, we've had like Mickey that used to be with us, but she's now with Southern Soul Patrol. Mickey and Dana Fleury with Ghost Life Paranormal Investigations. They were there, and both of them simultaneously react like they had saw something. And he was explaining what he had saw to his wife Tina, and she was out, right there in the doorway explaining to the girls outside what she had saw. I'm right there by the refrigerator, kind of in the middle, and I'm hearing both of them, and they're giving the identical same story.
Great.
They saw a gentleman that had like blonde cropped hair. He had like khaki pants and a white shirt. He was looking down and walking quickly, and they both did the same description. So it's kind of self-validating. These people, this first time they have met each other, and when I seen them react like that, it's like, wow, that was crazy. And we've had people that get touched there at the Crime and Punishment Museum.
Mm-hmm.
We've interviewed the sheriff's son. The last sheriff that was at that jail. Anyway, his son was a jailer there, and even before then, his uncle was the sheriff, and he was a little boy living in the jail, living in downstairs. So the downstairs is situated where the sheriff and his family would live, and upstairs is where the inmates would live. And so he was downstairs. We call it a little courtroom now. That's where his bedroom was. And he said he looked up, and there was a little girl standing in the doorway, and she says, "Come play with me." And when he told me that what she had said, we've captured two of you. I captured one, and then Fox Paranormal, when they came, they caught the identical same EVP of the same little girl saying, "Come play with me." And so, when he had said, "Come play with me," it about threw me out of my chair, because I was like, "Oh my God, we caught that, and somebody else caught that." And it sounds like a little girl. And when he said the little girl said that, he didn't have any knowledge of any of those investigations. He just don't want nobody to disrespect the building, for good reasons. But it's a place for everybody. If you're experienced and you got your own paranormal team, we offer. For the price, like I think it's $350 for the entire weekend. Yeah, and it's unheard of.
Man, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah, it is, and a good portion of that money all goes to the, general upkeep and the maintenance and whatnot, pay the bills and whatnot. So it kind of helps out the community. So the people that we bring in, they come in and they eat at the restaurants in that town and stay at the hotels if they're going to do more than a night. Some people like to have a shower before they go on the road. We get the discounts for people too to make it affordable as possible to come. We try to make it right.
That's cool. So as far as the history of the jail itself, how long has it been there?
Yes, sir. That's a good question. Well, it was built in 1906, and it has a death row there. They used to hang inmates there. So the first execution occurred in 1907, and the last documented, as Leon says, there were some executions that did occur that were not documented, but it ran from 1906. The last execution occurred on September 11th, 1914. That would be Miles' crib, but it ran from they opened in 1906, and it was a jail all the way until 1993. So that's like President Roosevelt all the way to President Bill Clinton.
Wow.
And and so there was a lot of damage that was done because the inmates said it flooded the place, and it was an old building anyway. So they, rather than spending money on keep upgrading it, and getting it up to code, which would cost a lot of money, to have it as a jail. So they just built a new jail and that building sat for quite a while. And so finally, the Ashburn City Historical Society, along with the Turner County Chamber of Commerce, they kind of took over the jail, and it was a little diner called the Last Meal Cafe. You could go and order a meal, and it was like someone's last meal before they executed. But, and then now it's just a museum, and we do the ghost tours at night on the weekends. And, it's an old building, though. I mean, we constantly trying to fix, little things, but try to keep it up and keep it going, and try to take care of it. We take care of it like you would your own business,
Mm-hmm. Sure. Now you allow people to come through the museum and tour the museum during the day. Is that right?
Well, we don't have any of this. The Turner County Chamber of Commerce, Ashley Miller, she's the one that gives the tours. Mm-hmm. And it's all by appointment only. You would just call the Turner County Chamber of Commerce, and they would do the daytime historical tour. They'd show you a film, a video, a little bit about the history of it, and take you throughout the jail and let you check it all out. It's really cool, really, educational. They have like the children, kids from the schools come to their field trips there.
Wow.
That place sees about 50,000 people a year. Mostly people just traveling, because we're 82 miles from the Florida state line. And so you have a lot of travelers that come and go from Florida, they'll swing in and see what the billboard sign's about, and see what the Crime and Punishment Museum is. And they call the numbers, and next time they come, you can actually, take a tour of the facility.
Have you said that their children go in for little events and things. Have you ever had a child say they've experienced anything there?
I've never had, no, I mean, we don't, in our events, no one can get in under 18.
I see.
There's, we had an open house one time where it was, anybody could come, kids had to be accompanied with an adult, and it was on August the 16th. We had Psychic Tina Marie.
I remember that.
Gulf Coast Paranormal. They came, and we had like 200 people show. I was expecting like 50 people, but there was a line of people going down the street. So it was a free ghost hunt, just kind of show, it's an intro of what this has to offer, as far as entertainment for that town, and a lot of people showed up, and we had a young man. He was with his mom, a young guy, and his mom. Well, he was filming, and he just happened to turn the camera at the same time. Well, right around the same time, a picture flew off the shelf, and nobody had touched it. I mean, you could see that nobody had touched it. There was no shadow on the wall behind the picture to indicate, a hand knocked it off. And the girl that was closest to it, you see that both of her hands were on her cell phone. I studied the film frame by frame, and that picture took flight by itself. And and it's on our page. It's it's just one of the things that's been documented. But that kid, he documented that. But as far as like having kids, that I've never heard of a story, of something like that. Having kids that experience anything while they're in there, except for the sheriff's son when he was a kid. Like I said, he experienced a little girl at his doorway.
Wow. So obviously, some of the execution, of course, we know as paranormal investigators, how you are in this world is more than likely how you're going to be when you cross over and cross that veil.
Mm-hmm.
And so I imagine, have you ever run into any spirits that you just knew that was an inmate, or, did they act in that manner?
Well, as far as running into a spirit, I can't. You got to understand that this jail used to segregate the blacks from the whites, and they used to keep the blacks in the basement in a horrible condition.
Oh, wow.
And so, when people go down into the basement, they experience that, that feeling of, dread and hopelessness and things like that. People often get touched down in the basement. I think I saw my first ghost in the basement. Something that walked between me and another woman. I saw its leg. I saw the girth of its leg one moving, like walking, and wasn't paying no attention to us. And I saw I had to back up